Hey, I'm Dana with Diggin with Dana, and I have a big special guest with me today. This is one of my favorites ever. His name is Will Rogers. Everybody knows who Willie is in my world, but this is the Will Rogers, the famous Will Rogers, I guess we could say. But he is the R in the RS Rodeo. He is a bull rider.
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Now, wait. Let's start there. How about that? We'll start there. So, first of all, you're a native to Arizona,
Yes,
right?
born and raised.
Right here in Scottsdale somewhere, right?
Yep, actually down the road. I lived in like basically Thomas and Hayden area.
Yeah.
This is where I was born. So.
Yeah. So you went to school out here and everything?
Saguaro.
And...
Yep, I went to Saguaro High.
Oh, okay.
So right here.
Okay. So then what led you to becoming a bull rider? Let's talk about that.
Well, I used to box, so I obviously like to hurt myself. But my friend, I had a friend in high school, and we were all kind of the redneck kids. So, I just kind of hung out with them, and they were, quote-unquote, cowboys, I guess you would say. But we didn't grow up around any cows or anything. We just wore the attire. But so he had an older brother that had friends, and they went to a place that you're probably very well known about. It's called Mr. Lucky's, and they used to go out there and get on practice bulls. And my buddy Rob, he's the one that got me into it. He went to a school, which was the Curtis Jess and David Ciccone bull riding school that they used to have out there. I don't know how many times they used to do it. I never went to one, but he went out there and he said he wanted to try it because his brother was doing it, and he went out there and went to a school, and then he basically said, hey, you want to come and try this? I was about 17, just about to turn 18, so
yeah.
I didn't get on my first bull until I was about 17. So
he suckered you in, didn't he?
Well, it kind of was a sucker in. I went out there to watch one time. I brought my dad out there, and my other buddy Tonka, which you already had on here once, and we went out there and we watched, and it was a Friday night, which is the open night that had the better bulls. And when we first saw it, I was like, wow, that's kind of cool, but them suckers are buckers, I don't know about that,
Yeah.
And then my buddy, when he went to the school and all that stuff, he showed me the tapes of stuff that you get on that, are kind of the lower end stuff, and I said, I'll try that. And I wanted to try it. So then when I went out there, it was my spring break of, I guess it would be my junior year, I guess.
So you were still in high school then,
Still in high school, yep. I was 17, so just about to turn 18. So I turned 18 that June, so in May, so it would be spring break. I got on for my first time, and from that point on, it was something that I guess fell in love with, and it was something that I wanted to strive to try to be the best at it that I could be.
So then what'd you do after that? You rode at Lucky's, you won buckles, you're on the t-shirt, aren't you?
I was on the t-shirt.
Yeah,
I
were on the t-shirt.
Yep, I was on the t-shirt with my good buddy Casey Wells.
Yeah.
And I was the face of Mr. Lucky's.
Yeah.
I did a lot. Mr. Lucky's was a thing it was a foundation for me. You know, so there was a lot of guys that started at Mr. Lucky's that it was kind of a foundation for them too.
Yeah.
So from that point on, I started in basically like 95, 96. I got my permit for the PRCA in 1999 was the first time I bought it. And that was kind of just coached in by Rob Campbell. Rob Campbell was a guy that, he was a guy that would jump forward before he needed to. So when we first started riding bulls, he's like, let's go to the high school and junior rodeos. I said, I just started getting on, I've been on 3 bulls, so I don't know. I was like, sure, I'll whatever. So we started going to the junior rodeos. And same thing with the pro rodeos. We had no, I won my first novice buckle in 96, right? And then, from that point on.
You just jumped in head first, basically.
Basically, and then when I bought my permit, it took me almost 2 years to fill my permit, which, is not very, doesn't sound very good, I guess. You sound like you suck, but I would have to say right nowadays that it's a little bit easier to fill your permit because back then, us having your day money and stuff didn't count unless you placed. So like if you rode your bull and you didn't place at the rodeo, that money that you got for the day money didn't count. Nowadays, ground money counts, everything counts. So you can fill your permit. And then when I filled my permit, I think to fill it was $2,500 or $2,000 at the time. So now I think it's $1,000. So it's not so bad.
Wow.
So
yeah, big difference.
So it's a big difference. So it did take me a little bit to do that. And my rookie year was '03. That was when I was actually a professional. That's when I could say I was a professional. And in 2002, when I did fill my permit, I felt it in 2002, and I made it to my first circuit finals then. And then my rookie year, and I rode probably the best I've probably ever ridden in the pros then was in '03 in my rookie year. So.
Did you take a break at all after that?
Never. I never haven't taken a break. And even when I got hurt, I mean, when I broke my arm in 2000 pretty good, but it was only a 6 months break, to be able to get back to where I was. So.
Yeah. So you've done a lot of traveling.
All over the place, yeah.
All over the place.
Yep.
You've been in all the rodeos, because I know when we travel, you run into somebody every single time we go somewhere that you used to rodeo with or still are rodeoing with.
Yep.
So now, since you're older now than you were in 96, so
I'm a lot older than
you're
I was in 96.
a lot older now, are you?
Yes.
So you are in a different phase. You're in a different season in your life right now, and you're still riding.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
So going to the seniors now that I ride in the seniors. I've been doing it since 2018 is when I turned 40. Started going to the senior deals then. Funny story about that is that when I in 2017 riding, going to the pro rodeos and stuff like that, I wasn't doing very well, and I'd only ridden a couple of them, and I wasn't making anything, and it was kind of like that kind of point where I was always a step behind, and I couldn't get it. I could get on practice bulls all day, and it just like father time catches up to you, and you just kind of get slower.
Yeah.
And my being slower at that time, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't riding. I mean, I could even ride one, but at the end of the bull ride, I was hanging on the side, or so I wasn't scoring very well, and I wasn't making anything. And I was at the point of that year that I was gonna probably call it quits. I had a kid. I had a 2-year-old at that time, and I was kind of getting to the point where I was like, I was done. And I thought I was gonna be done. So the funny thing is that there's another bull rider that was from Arizona that used to go to the senior deals all the time right before that time, but he died of cancer.
Oh.
And then they had this memorial thing, which all the senior guys, they put that on, and they did it in AJ at a bull riding there. And so then I entered the memorial bull riding in the open. So I was like, well, I'll enter that. And then the guy that was putting it on, which I knew him, for a little bit. I kind of know him. He was around when I was younger, but then he disappeared or whatever. When he came back, he was talking to me about stuff. But when I was entered into the deal, they had a Legends deal for the senior guys, because the guy that passed away, he was the senior guy, so they did a Legends deal. So I was 39 at that time, and he convinced me I should enter the Legends things. You're 39, I'll let you in as a 39-year-old, You're almost 40, so you're kind of there. And I said, okay, so I'd enter that. So the funny thing is that I got on my Legend bull first, fell off.
Uh-oh.
Couldn't ride worth the crap. He threw me off. Probably 2 jumps. I probably looked like, what the hell am I doing here? So I'm like, oh man, I fell off. And, you got on a lower end bull. So then I had my open bull the next round. So I go out there and I win the open bull riding.
Oh.
So I'm like, well, do I quit or whatnot? But after all, the funny thing is, afterwards, I was sitting there talking to all those guys, and they kind of convinced me to buy my NSPRA card and start going to the senior deals, because we talked about it, and we I wasn't what I was, probably never will be, but going to the seniors, you kind of have a different opportunity to have a different kind of career. Yep. It's kind of the next step. It's kind of like like the PGA. They have a Legends Tour or a senior division that, when you're not doing as good in golf, you can go to this deal, when you're in a certain age group. And we start when we're 40s.
Yeah. So 40s and up in the senior associations.
Yep.
And there's 2 big ones, Professional Senior Rodeo Association and the National Senior Pro Rodeo Association.
Yes.
And you're heavily involved with both of those associations. You actually are world champion in the PSRA, which is in 2020, right? Yep. World champion.
Yeah. That
was a great year, wasn't it?
It was a tough year, obviously, because of the COVID thing, and we didn't at the NSPRA we didn't have a real finals,
right?
So the year was kind of done at that deal. They still crowned some champions, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
So then me and your husband,
Yeah.
decided that we wanted to keep continuous riding bulls. So we decided to go to the PSRA, and that year in 2020, and we started going to those deals, and we made it to their finals, and both of us, we walked out of there with the world title, and he won it in the 60s, I won in the 40s.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good deal.
It was good.
It was pretty
fun
fun.
year too.
Yeah, it was a different year.
Yeah.
You know, we're not used to that kind of stuff, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It was definitely something.
And since then, you are a director of the NSPRA for the bull riders. So you're like a advocate for all of the bull riders that have any
Beef,
questions,
I guess,
issues, whatever you want to call it. They come to you. So you're kind of the leader of them. And
I wouldn't say leader,
well, I would say a leader because
I'm the whipping boy of them.
oh, you're the whipping
I'm the
boy.
whipping boy.
Okay.
But no, so like I became the director.
Director.
Not last year. Was it last year? I think it
Yes,
was last year.
it was
so
last year.
this is my second year. It took them a long time to get me to do it. Since I started going to the association, there was a lot of changes that needed to be done.
Yeah.
That I noticed, just because of rodeoing as long as I have, and then the 60s division, they didn't have a 60s bull riding division, and they had 3 or 4 guys that were in that 60s division, and they were having to fight against the 50-year-olds, which if you think 10 years
That's
is
a
a
lot of
huge
time.
jump. It's a huge jump from
Yeah.
50 to 60.
Yeah.
And then from 60 on, and it's not fair that they didn't have their own gold buckle to chase or world championship or a title, right?
Yeah.
So at that time in 2018, when I first started, I noticed that, and the guy that was the director, which kind of backed out right at that time too, he didn't really present it correctly to make it so that the association wanted to recognize it. So I kind of stepped in there, and we worked really hard. There's a couple of us that really worked hard to get it, and when we finally got them to see what we were talking about and not what this other guy was trying to do, and it wasn't about the caliber of bulls, it wasn't about the money, it wasn't about that. It was about them having their own point and their point standings to have their own world title.
Yeah.
And then we got that pass in 2019, which and that was a big jump for that association, when they used to have it back in the day. I mean, but nowadays it's something that it should be recognized, because there are 60s and 70-year-olds that go.
Yeah.
And, so that was a big thing, and that's kind of the reason why maybe a lot of those guys kind of clammed onto me to help me, or wanted me to be the director to try to help out, because we had other directors that, they had the problem with the directing part of it is that it becomes a situation where there's people that have their own agenda.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they want something done for themselves so they can win, or they can do better or whatnot, when it's supposed to be for the whole board.
For the whole
it's supposed to be for the whole body of the bull riding. It's supposed to be, if you're going to be the bull riding director, you're supposed to be the guy that's supposed to take care of your, I guess you wouldn't want to say people, but your guys. You want to take care of them and make sure that everybody is at the, have that. And it has nothing to do with me personally.
Right.
There's not stuff that I want passed because it's going to help me be able to compete better or win or whatnot. And that's not what it's about.
Right.
So
and I think that helps the association as a whole to have that kind of viewpoint on it, because we have grown because of that.
Yeah.
The guys will come and ride. There's guys that are getting on now that hadn't been on for a long, long time.
Yeah, like Tim.
And like Tim, my husband, yeah. And because it's fun, it's a camaraderie that you guys all have together, and it's traveling, and it's just a whole different ball game when you're at the age that you're at in the senior divisions.
Yeah. And that was the biggest part for me when I transitioned over to the seniors, is that being in a competitive situation where it's all about you.
Yeah.
And I traveled a lot by myself. When I was younger, I had some guys that I traveled with a bunch, with the car wins kind of thing. Like you heard me say that with Olives. That's how it used to be. Then when I started going by myself a lot more, trying to make the NFR, a lot of guys couldn't go or whatnot, or they didn't have the opportunity to do that. So I would have to travel by myself. So there's a lot of times that you're at a rodeo completely by yourself, and you don't know that many people, except for the people that, some of the bull riders you might seen at other places or or whatnot, but they're there to win too, and everybody there was there to win for themselves. They weren't there, they didn't care how you did. They only cared how they did, and it's not bad.
Yeah.
But, going to the seniors, for me to transition to I guess, giving a shit about anybody else. You know what I mean? It was hard for me to go back to that, you know, because when you first start riding bulls, you care. You know, you care about everybody, and you're trying to learn, and you're trying to help them. They're trying to help you. And then when you get to a certain point in a professional sport, it's more about your performance and what you want to do and what your goals are. It doesn't matter what this guy's goal is, or it doesn't matter what this guy wants to do. But then when you get back to the seniors, you get back to the guys that, you know, like say like Tim, you know, traveling with Tim and traveling with Rob Phibbs and traveling with those guys that you know, that you want them to do well now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you do everything that you can to help them out, and you to transition from that to that is two different things. So for me, it was harder.
It's been a learning
So
experience.
the first year of riding, I didn't ride very well because, again, I was competitive and I was, you know, F everybody else, and Will's going to win. And when he got there, it didn't happen that way. And it was I guess it was more humbling for me than it was, you know, hard, I guess. It was humbling to a point where you had to kind of step back and go, well, you're not the big shit no more. You're just a butthole just like everybody else. You know? So,
yeah, that's true though, huh? It makes
it's true. It's a humbling, and rodeo's always going to be humbling. You could be awesome one night, and then the next night you're sitting on the ground wondering, like, why do I do this to myself kind of thing anymore. So.
Well, you do well every time. You guys, every one of you guys does well
like
every
Mom.
time.
That's
I know,
the reason. Like,
I am.
You did good, you know. Like I don't want a participation.
Yeah, well, you don't get a participation award in rodeo.
Well,
you know,
no, you don't.
You get a lot of bumps and bruises, and you guys, you do your best every time you go out there. You do your best, and you're a huge supporter of all those guys, no matter
everybody.
who
I mean,
they are. We're
I want
all
them to
friends
do it.
and fun, and I think that's a respect level that you guys all have for each other that makes it more of a camaraderie that way, because you guys all respect each other and your histories and what you want to do right now. So when you start rodeoing again in the senior circuit, and you're active all the time with that stuff, but then now we start RS Rodeo, which is a whole nother ball game outside of what you compete, because we have RS Rodeo and your stock contractor, and we put on rodeos.
Yes.
So you're busy all the time. And I think with that being said, what is your favorite part about, would you rather be a competitor or would you rather be a producer? Like, you still have that competitive blood. So do you miss it when we're not doing a rodeo for you to compete in? Do you miss that part, or are you okay just being a producer, stock contractor kind of thing?
Well, at certain times, obviously, that's
different times.
Yeah, it's a different thing, you know. So obviously, it's a little more stressful that I do still rodeo. So it's not something I can put 110% in, because I'm putting so much into this, and I'm putting so much in, and my kid's starting to ride, so that's even more. So you got more stuff. So the stressful part about of that, and as you asking me what my favorite part is, obviously right now I still, crave competing, and I still crave winning, and I still crave, trying to become what I, I guess envisioned that I should be. And, that's winning world titles. And I want to be, I've been saying it since I was still rodeoing pro rodeos, that if I ever went to the seniors, I would want to beat Curtis Jess, because he has 2 world titles.
Yeah.
And he won 2 of them, and he's from Arizona. So I've always said I'm going to win 3. So if I do win 3, then maybe that might be the time that I can put more, I guess, more percentage of me into the RS stuff. Not that I don't put a lot into it, but we do put a lot into it. And obviously, having the crew that we do now, that we, when Jake Sporbert's my partner, and him and I, we have a crew now. And when it was just me and him, it's really hard. Super tough, and then, bringing, when I met you and Tim, and hearing what you did and stuff like that, knowing that that's kind of what you do as a gig, so saying, well, so I'm going to ask her, so I told Jake, I was like, I'm going to ask her if she wants to, ask Dana if she wants to help us promote, try to get us to get some stuff, maybe, little bit more advertisement or whatnot, so maybe we can get some more stuff. So from that point forward, it seems like RS has grown because of that, not because of the lack of what Jake and I were doing, but we just had the help of the McNeils and Dana and Dick, Richard. He's our number one guy right now, and we couldn't do it without.
It takes us all to make it happen.
Exactly, we couldn't do it without that. Jake does a lot with the stock, and his part of it. He does step in and do a lot of that stuff because obviously me having a full-time job, me rodeoing. My part of the, my side of what I do is supposed to be the production side. I shouldn't have any animals or anything, but obviously it turned into a little bit more than that of the having the animal side of it, and that's what we need to do at the moment to be able to get to that point. But obviously the production side is the more part of why I want to do it. To produce rodeos and to make them better. So obviously, you asking that question, what would be the best? Or what I like the most is like I can't put a finger on it. No, because they both have their satisfaction part of it where you feel satisfied on this side, but this side could be lacking because this side's lacking because this side it's just there's a lot of stuff that goes on. So there's not one favorite thing. There's shit I hate about one side and there's shit that I hate about the other side. But I love the other sides and I love the other side. So that's just how it is.
It is. It's running a business and doing what you love to do at the same time. Now, with that being said, Jake was going to be here with us today, and we were going to talk a lot about RS Rodeo and stuff, but there's no place to park the bulls out front right now.
No, I saw that.
Did you see the parking lot out there?
Yeah, and we have a thing every weekend
tonight.
Yep,
so yeah, it just wasn't going to work, but we're going to do that. We're going to come on, all three of us again, and we'll have a talk about RS and what our future looks like.
Well, if that happens, you're going to have to put a longer slot because Jake does talk a lot.
He talks a lot.
So
You're
we're
right.
going to have to figure out
You're
a lot.
right.
So.
We make quite the team. All of us have our part, and everybody does their part, and it takes all of us to make these things happen.
Well, there's I would have to say that, majority of the stuff is I wouldn't say it's because of me, it's because of Jake and you guys and what you guys do.
Yeah.
Obviously,
we all do our part.
I just have the R on there and I drive around sometimes. That's all I do. So.
And so you mentioned our little guy, Cassius, is your boy. He's 7 years old, and he is following in Daddy's footsteps right now, big time.
Well, yeah,
he is winning buckles left and right.
He's kicking my ass this year, for sure. I didn't win anything, and I haven't done anything this year, and he's kind of keeping it float. I guess he's keeping the Rogers name going. So and funny thing about him is I didn't think he was ever going to do it, and one day he decided he wanted to do it, and.
Well, and who knows, he started out as a sheep fighter, decided he didn't like that. He wanted to get on. So he didn't even ride sheep. He rode once, right? Yep,
and that's what changed his whole life. He said, nope, because I didn't hold him long enough, and he landed on his butt, and it hurt his butt. And he'd still tell me how I messed up.
Traumatized from riding the sheep.
So then he decided he wanted to be a bullfighter, or he was a sheep calf fighter.
Yeah.
And then one day he was just, for whatever, he owns his own little, he has his own little herd of mini bulls and calves that he's always had. His grandpa, is big in the cattle industry and is huge in Arizona, and everybody knows R.C. Mercer. And but he owns his own little thing. So he owned this bull named White Eyelashes. So one day he just comes up to me and says, "Dad, I'm gonna get on White Eyelashes." I said, okay, just thinking whatever, He's like, yeah, Sunday, we're going to go out there Sunday. He goes, you got to get on them first. And I said, okay, I'll get on them first, whatever. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So then Sunday comes along, and he comes up to me, and he says, all right, wakes me up and says, we're going. I said, okay. So we went over there, and I got on him. I got off, but he says he bucked me off, but I got off just to make sure. But I'll say that I got off, but he probably did buck me off. But I won't let Cassius know that. But
right.
So then he gets on him, and he got on him twice that day, and then from that point forward, he just continued to keep moving forward, and he gets on probably 6 or 7 calves a week right now, and he's really working at it, and it's actually showing because he's winning
buckles,
and doing everything he can.
He makes us all proud. He's a good good kid, and he's out there just doing what he does, and he's into it 100%.
Yeah, and that's
You see
one
him
thing
at the
about him.
arena, he is into it 100%.
He's into it all the time. If you watch him at home, he watches
Yeah.
tapes and he talks about bull riding, he plays bull riding, whatever it is. He's always about that. So, which is cool. I mean, it's cool to watch, and watching and seeing that, is for me, I never thought, and I would never be the guy that pushes my kid to do it,
right?
Just because I do it. Obviously he's grown up in it, grown around it, and he decided he wanted to do it. And the coolest thing that I think I've ever done in my career is obviously, having Cassius, but the coolest thing was actually being entered at the same rodeo as him. When we had our Wickenburg deal, that was the first time that we were both entered at the same time, and that's not a lot of people can do that.
Right.
Not a lot of guys can say, "Well, I rode with my son."
Right.
I mean, Tim can now, but but that was one of the biggest things, and I think that right there is a pinnacle of everything that I put into it, and
it's carrying down traditions.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wants to live my lifestyle, but
well, we'll see. We'll see how he does.
He's a little more wild than he is. I'm glad. I hope he doesn't take after me.
Yeah, right. Some of the things, anyways, huh?
Yeah, some of the things.
He's a good kid, and we look forward to seeing him go a long ways. I know every time he just grows a little bit more and gets a little bit more focused, and he's just growing up for one. So it's gonna be exciting to see where it takes him. I tell him all the time we're gonna see him at the NFR, so that's gonna be his future, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Then we
and
get
if not,
to go. Huh?
then yeah, that'd be awesome. Maybe one time I can go.
Yeah.
But the thing is that and if he didn't want to do it, it would be fine.
It'd be okay.
I think I wouldn't be mad at him. Because riding bulls suck sometimes.
Yeah. But he's pretty well rounded. He does other sports and stuff like that too. So it's not just rodeo with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, he's doing awesome.
Yeah. So, well, we have a lot of stuff coming up, and we have a bright future for little guys coming up because we have a huge following of junior roughies that are involved with RS Rodeo now and learning from you guys, learning from you as a mentor. Do you like doing that stuff? I mean, is that part of you like being involved with the little guys and stuff just as much as the big guys, right? Because they're learning from you, and they look up to you like crazy. It ain't even funny how much they look up to you. So,
the reason why we started RS Rodeo, again, like we brought it up and we talk about it a lot, is that we want to, as we say, cultivate the bull riding. We want to make Arizona a bull riding state again, which it was when I was younger.
Yeah.
And we had 3 or 4 guys that came out of Arizona that made a huge impact on bull riding, period. You got Cody Custer, Cody Hancock, you got, Jim Bob Custer. You got these guys that made a name for themselves. Curtis Jess, I mean, he made it to the PBR when he was 39. Who makes it to the finals at 39?
Right.
He did. Right. And those guys, Bo Lindley, my hero, that guy, even though he's an ass, but he's one of my heroes, and that's the guy that I always looked up to. And David Scone, those guys. There was a lot of guys that came out of it, and we used to have a state that we had a lot of guys that were up and coming that would go somewhere else, and we look at that, and we when we started RS, we wanted to do that. We wanted to make bull riding, as we talked about, we want to make bull riding better. We want to make it what it used to be, So dealing with the kids and watching some of these, and we do the high school rodeos now, and there's a lot of kids that go to those, and there's a lot more that are going that they weren't,
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because of us or whatnot, because we have the caliber bulls that, aren't killing them off in the beginning of the year, and that's something that our biggest thing is that we don't want to kill the younger kids off, and we kind of
take care of the
now
older
that I'm in the
guys.
seniors. Now we try to take care of the seniors too. So we're not too much into the open stuff as much as some of these guys are, and we don't think about having the 22-pointer bulls out there. We want the nice campaigners that everybody wants to get on.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And dealing with the kids with the calf riding and the sheep riding and the steer riding, and then moving into the bull riding. We had guys that's come to the RS rodeo, and it's the first time they ever been on, and now they're making it to junior rodeo finals and doing all that stuff. And that's cool to see.
It is cool.
And that's kind of why we started it, and that's I wouldn't say I'm a mentor, but
You are.
I do like to I do like to give you know, my I guess my knowledge of stuff that I've been through, or something that helped me out that might help this kid out, you know. So
Yeah.
a lot of these kids that, you know, they go to some of these bull riding schools and stuff like that. Like, we had a clinic and stuff, and we didn't call it a school. It's not a bull riding
No.
school. It was more of a clinic. We're just trying to help them understand what they need to do, and if they want to keep continuing to move forward, this is what you need to do. And we showed them, you know, because everybody rides different, so you can't go off of one style or the other. You know, I ride completely different than Tim does, and Tim rides completely different than Jake did, and you know, so forth. You know, so everybody does that. So you got to look at it, and it's
They have
more
to figure out a way that
they
works.
got to figure out that works for them. But but everybody's got, you know, what they can help to do that. You know, because there's fundamentals of riding bulls. Obviously, there's not a one way of riding bulls, but there's fundamentals that, you know, groundwork that gets you to the point.
Yeah.
So us helping them out and moving them forward to a point where you see some of them moving up, like even Cassius. You know, I mean, he works at it a lot more than some kids get to. You know, he has the opportunity to. But these kids that are coming out to our deals and doing all that helps them. That helps us out, and that's the reason why we do it. And we, you know, as you say, you're making customers. You know, down the road, you know.
Yeah, they're going to be around. They're going to be in rodeo forever because they get hooked easily. You know, the first time they stay on, and they're just, it's a light on top of their head, and they just love it. I love seeing that happen for these kids.
Well, obviously, because you don't cut them off. You let every single kid in that ever called.
I do, because I'm just like that. That's what makes us fun that way, right?
Well, I mean, that's the reason why we're there.
We try to take care of everybody, and we want everybody to enjoy their time when they come out.
Our bull riders are bull riders, but the kids are the future of what the sport is, and the sport means as much as it does to me. Obviously to Jake too, but those kind of things are, you know, that sport is a thing that you know, if we don't have people coming into it or coming up through the ranks, the sport,
there won't be a sport anymore.
And it's something that I've, you know, put more than half my life into, and still doing it, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, Willie, you know you're my favorite. Thanks for coming on here with me today.
Of course.
And hopefully you weren't too nervous about talking. You're never nervous
all
about
these lights
talking.
and stuff like that.
You're silly. So silly. We have a long summer run now coming up, so we have a lot of traveling, and I want to have Cassius come in and talk to us, and have Tim and Rob, everybody with RS, come in one of these days, and we'll have a big sit down and a lot of fun laughing, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you for coming and being on here with me today. And I guess that'll do it for us today. Thanks for joining. I'm Dana with Digging In with Dana with Will Rogers, my favorite Willie. We'll see y'all next time.